Hi there, welcome to Just Me and My Fabric. I'm Angela, and today's video is kind of the wrap up to something I started back at the beginning of 2023. If that sounds interesting and you want to know a little bit more, stay tuned. So way back at the beginning of this year, I decided that I had too much fabric and I had limited storage. Like my storage space was kind of overflowing with fabric. So because I still wanted to purchase more fabric as time goes on, of course, like any of us do, I decided that I needed to sew up some of my stash before I would let myself purchase more fabric. So to kind of put some numbers on it, like to have a goal to shoot for, I gave myself the goal of sewing down half of my garment fabric stash before buying any new fabric. Today, I'm going to give you the rundown on how that went and kind of my thoughts around whether this was a worthwhile goal, like what my overall impressions of it are. So if you're ready, let's jump in. I am going to be referring to my notes here. So if you see me looking down, that's kind of what I'm doing because I can't remember all those numbers. So I started off 2023 with 142 yards of garment fabric, which amounted to 68 actual cuts of fabric. Now, I was only counting garment fabric in this little challenge for myself. I didn't include home deck fabric, quilting fabric, and I also excluded any lining fabric. So it was basically just garment face fabric or fashion fabric. And I had already pulled out some pieces that I wanted to sell or donate or give away. So I did not include those in the total of 68 pieces or 142 yards. So my goal was to sew half of that amount, which was a lot, before allowing myself to purchase any more fabric. And so what that meant is that I had to use 34 pieces of fabric or 71 yards. And given that I'm a pretty slow sewist, that was a tall order. And I did notice as the year was kind of going on, I did end up reevaluating my stash and I pulled out a few more pieces that I thought just I wasn't attracted to anymore, or why did I get this? I don't even like it now. So I pulled out a few more pieces, which kind of changed my starting number a little bit. After doing that, I was looking at a half being sewing up 32 pieces or 64 yards. So yeah, I did pull out just a few pieces. And still 32 pieces, that 32 garments, that's a lot. My track record is pretty much like one or two a month just because I work and I've got a household and a big garden that I do here on our homestead. So it was a challenge to even think that I could sew down 32 garments in the course of a year. But I was going to give it my best shot because I needed to get a handle on my stash. It was overflowing. So I went the first 6 months of the year and did not buy any garment fabric. Actually, I don't even think I bought quilting fabric or any fabric at all. Maybe like one or two pieces of lining just to, because if it was needed to make up one of the 32 garments, I would allow myself to buy lining or something like that to finish a project. So I ended up making just 10 out of those 32 pieces of yardage, which equated to 20 yards. And then I did also make up 3 items out of fabric that wasn't included in that initial start amount because I did end up buying fabric after 6 months had gone by. I went 6 months of not buying any fabric at all. And at first it was easy because I had my goal and I was focused, but it got to me after a while. So so it was probably in June or July when I bought like a couple of pieces of fabric. But then that kind of led me on a downhill slide and I bought more than that. I did a few fabric purchases in the second half of this year. So altogether, I ended up making 13 garments this year. I have one in progress, but I don't know if I'll have it finished before the end of the year. So I'm going to go with 13 as the number, but 3 of those aren't even included in the initial tally. I hope all that made sense. So basically, just to summarize again, my goal was to sew 32 pieces and I sewed up 10 of those 32, or 64 yards and I used up 20 yards. So, it was okay. I did the best that I could. So that's kind of where I stand now. I did end up buying, like I mentioned, more fabric in the second half of the year. And unfortunately, like if I were to start this same challenge at the beginning of 2024, which I'll talk more about here in just a moment, I probably would have a higher number of starting yardage and pieces than I did at the beginning of 2023. Like that's how much extra fabric that I bought. So it's okay, because if you're thinking back, one of the main driver for me to put this challenge on myself was because I was running out of room to store the fabric. And in my book, if I don't have enough room to store something in my house, then I have too much of that thing and I need to just get rid of some stuff, donate it, sell it, or what have you. But in the later half of the year, I did end up getting an IKEA Kallax unit. And I showed this on the studio tour video that I did a couple of months ago. I'll put a link to both the starting video when I kicked off my Stash Sewdown 2023 and also to my studio tour, either up here or in the description box. But getting that Kallax meant that I had room to store the fabric tidily in a way that looked nice and it wasn't overrun. So I didn't feel that pressure on me of things are overrun. I've got to sew this up or let it go or something like that. So getting that Kallax unit was a little bit of a game changer for me and took that pressure off. So having said that, and knowing that I really fell far short of my goal, I thought to myself, kind of assessing this, do I think this was a worthwhile goal? I'm still going to say yes, I think that it was, because it did keep me aware of how much fabric I actually have. And it also gave me a goal, something to keep focusing on, keep me moving forward and make up the things. And it also made me conscious of just maintaining a reasonable stash and not letting it get so out of hand or crazy. Do I think that I'll do this again in 2024? I'm not quite sure. I'm toying with the idea, but I think that what I'd like to focus on when it comes to the fabric that I have on hand, my stash and so forth in 2024 is I'm going to focus on two areas. One is the first thing is to sew up my oldest pieces first. The fabric pieces that I've had sitting around here for 2 or 3 years or more, I would like to go ahead and get those sewn up and made into something that I can wear. There was a reason I bought that fabric way back then, and I still like it. So why not go ahead and just bring life into those older pieces first? And then the other thing that I'd like to focus on in the coming year related to my fabric stash is all those pieces that I pulled out to donate or sell, is to go ahead and try to move forward on getting those sold. My goal, ideally, I would like to try to sell as many as I can, and any that don't sell, I would just end up donating or giving away or something like that. I did open up a Destashify like a storefront, but I haven't loaded it with any products yet. So once I get some items on there, I will let you guys know, just in case you're interested in poking around there. I think it's going to take just some dedicated, focused sit down and take pictures and write the descriptions of the fabrics and then get them uploaded to my Destashify account. But that is going to definitely be a priority throughout the year in 2024. And that is how my Stash Sewdown 2023 turned out. I would love to know if you guys were able to sew down any of your stash this year. If that's something that you were intending to do, how did it go for you? And also, I wanted to let you guys know, I mentioned this a couple of videos back, but I kind of just like hinted at it. I have set up a membership plan for the channel. If you look below the video, there's a join button. So if any of you guys would love to join and become members, I would love that. So if you click on the button, you can click on it and take a look and see what it entails without obligating. But basically what it means is there are 2 levels of membership. The first one, the first like tier is $2.99 a month. And with that, the benefits that you'll get are monthly live chats with me where we can all just chat together. And I'm kind of toying with the idea of doing that on a Zoom call so that we can actually see each other. For those of you that are interested in that, you of course don't have to be on camera if you want to just jump in and verbally chat. And then the other perk for that level is behind the scenes photos of daily life here in the sewing room. At least to start with, I thought I would kind of put that together and see how it goes. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. Put them in the comments and I'll be happy to elaborate a little bit. And then I'm kind of just now putting together a second level, which is going to be $4.99 per month with additional perks. So if you click the join button, you can take a look and see what is available. If you have any suggestions or thoughts on other perks and benefits to include and you're interested, let me know. I'm trying to tailor these to the things that would be most fun or useful to you guys, and we could all enjoy that together. I hope that you will come back this weekend when I'm thinking that what I'll go ahead and do is do my end of the year. These are all the makes I did for this year. Kind of look back and see, put it all together and talk a little bit about each one. I'm still working on my True Bias Marlowe sweater. I did end up, if you saw my previous video about testing out all the ways to pre-shrink wool fabric, I went ahead and just threw the whole yardage in the washer and I washed it on warm and gentle. And then I put it into the dryer on, I think, medium heat, and it came out fine. It did shrink a little bit. So I started with exactly 3 yards and it shrunk maybe 4 or 5 inches altogether. So it did shrink. So I'm glad I did go ahead and pre-shrink it, but it didn't shrink that much. Like I didn't lose a lot of yardage by pre-shrinking it. And as far as how the fabric looks, it's fine. It didn't hurt the fabric or cause any felting or any ill effects on the knit at all. So I'm coming close to my next step on that is to cut out the pieces. I'll keep you guys posted on how that's going. But in the meantime, I will see you this weekend. Thanks so much, and I hope you're having a great week. Bye.